Hello, fam. I'm Shivani from PlaceU, and I welcome you all to our first and very special podcast because we have our most special guest, Miss Anjali Sharma, with us today. And if I start speaking about her journey of achievements, I don't think this podcast is really gonna start sooner. But to just give you a glimpse of, she is currently a product manager at Bajaj Finserv. She has been a women technical engineering fellow with Google. She was awarded as Google's top marketer. She also interned with Upgrade as category growth analyst. She was Microsoft student partner at her college. And these are just a little, and the list goes on. So, Dee, starting with you, how are you?
Hello. This was actually a very detailed introduction. This feels like someone is reading my CV. So yeah, and I would love to have this in my video of the LinkedIn feature. But yeah, thank you for inviting me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to give some insightful gyan to people out there. So yeah.
Yeah, and it would be great if you could tell us a little about your college experiences and placement journey, as you are a sensation to many of the students, because getting even a single off-campus placement is really a big achievement, and you have put so many onto your bucket.
Yeah, so thank you, first of all. So my college journey started with being an electrical engineer. My major is in electrical engineering. So for the initial 2 years, I was working in a car racing team. And that experience was really good. So we went to an international event, and then I was the electrical department out there. So when I was doing that, and when the event got over, I realized that's not exactly something I wanted to pursue for say 5-6 years, because that was kind of limited to the scope. So then I moved to software development, because software development, as we all know, is a very fancy domain, and everyone wants to get in there. So then I tried all these fellowships where I explored this Microsoft student program. And then I met a lot of excellent people out there who actually helped me to get this fellowship from Google, which was a 2-year program. And I explored a lot about technology, how things work, corporate life, and so on. And if I have to get a job, and if I'll be working as a software developer, what would the life would be? And when I was actually doing it, and it was like quite 1 year in the journey, I realized my communication skills, because I love talking, you might have like figured that by now, but I love talking, and then those specific skills were not that much useful as a software developer. Obviously, communication is something that you need at every stage, but that's not exactly my USP, I would say. So then I moved to all these marketing and business specific areas. And then I tried this Google Ads Marketing Challenge, where we were supposed to work for an NGO. And that experience gave me a lot of exposure in terms of how business and marketing works. And then I moved to this placement thing, because by the July, our placement season started. So for the initial 1-2 months, I have realized that most of the companies are software developer companies. And I was very sure by then that I didn't want to be a software developer, exactly. So that left me with no other option than to apply for off campuses, and that's how I came to this off campus whole process.
And it's really very good to hear that you have chosen the path which you like, and you have moved on further with that. And now, without wasting any too much of time, let's start deep into our topic for today: how to get an off-campus placement. But before that, according to your opinion, which of the one is the best, like on-campus interviews or the off-campus ones?
Yeah, so I think it depends basis on two things. First is how confident you are on your skills and what you want to do. Like, how much clarity do you have? Do you want to be a software developer? But as I said, I was very clear that I didn't want to do a software engineering because I have done that previously. And then I knew that is not something I wanted to do. So it depends on what kind of role you're looking for. And the second thing is like what your college major is exactly. Because as we all have seen, most of the times you're not eligible to sit for any specific company. So then you will be having no other option than applying for off-campus. So my personal suggestion, because I have done the whole process, I think multiple times, and I've talked to a lot of people, is if you are from a decent college, I'm from VIT Vellore, and then you bet that by the end of the day, companies will come to VIT Vellore because it's a very nice college in terms of placement. So then I always recommend and I always suggest all my juniors to at least give 4-5 months to campus placement, be it from any branch or whatever, because companies will come at the end of the day. You should be prepared when it will come, because at any point off campus are 100x more difficult than on campuses, because these particular companies are not exactly obliged to reply you for that matter. But if you are coming visiting say on campus, these companies have some kind of commitment and they will hire 1, 2, whatever people. By at the end of the day, at the end of the process, they will hire somebody. So that's the leverage you need to get. So I would suggest you spend 4-5 months on campus, see how the processes work, see what are your strengths, weaknesses, how well or bad you're doing on other things. By the meantime, you can obviously build your profiles for off-campus things, but after 4-5 months only, you apply outside, because there are like a lot of benefits. First is you might be having a job and then you're looking for something else, then you can leverage in terms of say negotiations, CTCs, the kind of role you want to do, any company or something like that. And the second point I always say is it's difficult. Off campuses are really difficult. So then that's the two major things. It's not like anything is best or anything is like better than that. It just depends what kind of role you're looking for. So yeah.
Yeah, Dee, that was like quite a lot of information from you for us. And now getting back to our today's topic on off-campus placements, we really have a few quick questions for you, which everyone from our audience would love to listen. Yeah. So getting into our first question, does off-campus recruitment also have the online tests like that of the on-campus ones? And how can we enroll or register to them?
Yeah, so if you see general placements, every interview process or every placement process depends on what company you're applying for. Sometimes the company takes uniform procedures. So if you see, for example, Goldman Sachs, they have a uniform procedure no matter if you're coming from on campus or you're coming from off campus. But most of the companies, in my experience, say 95% of the companies are like, they have separate procedures, but the overall structure is uniform. So if say you are applying for an SDE role, the mandate, software development, hacker rank, lead code, whatever round are mandatory. So even if you're applying for off campus or you are applying via on campus, these are the processes you need to go through, right? So the only difference that comes in is when you're applying on campus, then these companies will come to the campus and the campus will send you the link or procedure and so on. But if you're applying off campus, you need to figure out these things are happening at first place and where to get all these updates, and you need to stay updated because you are not aligned with the timelines or how the processes work. But overall structure of the process remains same. It starts with one aptitude, general, English, logical reasoning processes. If you are applying for software development, it might be say one round of technical interviews. If you're applying for any database companies, Amazon and so on, then there's a SQL data structure and OS rounds as well. But it depends on which company you're applying for. Then it followed by say 2 rounds of technical interviews, and the last is the HR round. So the overall structure remains same, but then it depends on which company you're applying for. So yeah.
Yeah, now getting back to our second question, like how should one approach companies off campus? Like should they directly go through the careers page or should one approach HR's recruiting via LinkedIn?
If you're applying off campus, you have to do everything. Like there's no one particular thing that works. And as I said, it's difficult. So the overall objective is to get to the interview, right? So the getting to the interview process happens in many ways. You can obviously, you have to build all these filters and alerts, and you need to subscribe to a lot of newsletters for that matter, that when these job openings are coming, when a particular company is hiring, you need to search that when a particular company hires in general, because sometimes the cycle is from July, sometimes it's from October, sometimes it's from March and so on. And if you have any specific company in mind, you need to follow that company very rigorously, that when they're opening applications and so on, right? So then the process comes, how do you apply? So how do you apply is the same thing. You need to connect with all the people. So just check if you have any alumni out there, right? So if you are from campuses like VIT Vellore, they have a lot of people. That's a boon, that's also a bane, right? So but then just focus on the boon part. That you search someone, you'll be like, for example, if a person wants to apply for Bajaj, for example, then you will search for the particular name, Bajaj, VIT Vellore. Then all the people will come that who are from VIT Vellore who are working at Bajaj. You connect with those people if they can refer you for that matter. Yeah. That's first thing. Second is obviously you should always apply to the careers portal. Just check if you are applying for a referral. Careers portal application will not be considered. So if you're applying for a referral, just wait for the referral responses, because you can't have multiple applications against the same person. So if you have already applied personally, your referral will not be counted. So that's how it works. Generally, and then you can also apply from third party. So Smart Recruiter, Naukri, LinkedIn for that matter. So I have aggressively used LinkedIn. That's how I know everything about LinkedIn. and I really like the platform. If you are like looking for a job or something, I think LinkedIn is a very useful platform, and everyone should know how to use it. So that's like a separate story, but then that's a very good platform. So that's how you should apply. There's also a lot of other websites that will give you the work email address of these people. So I'm not sure if this is like illegal, but I don't think that's like illegal. So there are like platforms like hunter.io where you can like search for people of a particular company. They will give you the work email address. You can just mail them that this is my cover letter, this is my CV, if and how you can be useful. So never just apply or never just send hi to someone, right? Because that's a person is also very busy, and then hi is actually very irritating. I have never replied anyone who has sent me hi. That's like legit a thing. I was like, if you're not doing that much effort for sending me a detailed message, I'm not going to do anything for you. So, but you should message, and you should always have these things in Drive, probably your CV or cover letter. You may apply. There's also a section where you, at the time of connection, you can send a note on LinkedIn. So you should attach your a Drive link. Basically, you can convert them to Bitly. That's what I have done. That's how I know all of this. And when the person will accept the connection, that Bitly will convert to the link. So that person has your resume. Now the person will take a call if they want to contact you or not. That's a separate story. But at least at the very first thing, you have put efforts. So you're not just sending hi. Okay, you don't irritate the person. And if your resume is like actually good, then people will reply. People have replied to me, so I would say that even if like 1 in 100 or so on, but people will reply at the end of it. So that's how you should be figuring out all the ways. But at the very beginning, you should be ready with your cover letter, your resume, applied to whatever job you're applying for. So software developer resume will be very different from your marketing resume, and it will be very different from your, say, business analyst resume, right? So it should be aligned with a particular role. You should not make general resumes. And again, as I said, all this resume, cover letter, and I have covered everything in my blogs. If anyone is actually interested, it's there on anjalisharma.tech. It's like everything is there, so you can check it out, or you can obviously reach out in case of any queries. So yeah.
So yeah, when you want something, you need to find all the ways. And now moving on to next, like anytime it happened to you that you have applied for something and they did not respond you back, any companies or the HRs?
Yeah, every time. That's how it works. That's the process. That's why it's off campus, and that's why people don't choose to be there. So if I will give you the stats, because I've actually noted it down. So I got, I think, 76 rejections, and 200 to 300 people never responded to me. So I got, by the end of the process, by the end of one placement year, I got 5 jobs, and I'm like continuing one. But that's just something that people see. But I got like almost 75 rejections because I've applied for that many companies, right? So the more you apply, the more you get rejected. So if you see the rejection number, you will be like, how can a person be getting 75 rejections? Like, we don't even apply for that much company, right? But on an average, I was applying for 50 companies every single day on LinkedIn, on different platforms, because I was so desperate for a job. And I think everyone should. By like at the time, you won't get the satisfaction. I'm very happy with my job right now, but I got initial jobs as well, and I knew if I would have like stopped at one place or didn't do all of this, I might not be that much satisfied, I would say, right? So recruiters not replying or HR not replying, I now know the story because I'm kind of at the other end, and it's like 1 year, and I'm like working with my campus, my company's how they hire campus students. Basically, there's a program called Byte from Bajaj Finserv. So that's how I know how the process works. It's not always about the person is not interested, and you should not exactly dig me in HRs, because at the end of the day they are giving you the job. But it's more of like they don't have that much time and strength for that matter to reply to every single application. But if you're sending something, you should be a little more patient, and you should not spam. Right? So you won't be like, can you please reply to me? Can you please respond? And so on. If someone is not replying, you can ask for follow-up. But the follow-up should be, say, after 2 weeks or so on. So if you applied for some job and then a person is like actually that much humble to reply to you at first place, you should wait for at least for 2 weeks to ask for a follow-up. You can ask for one more follow-up by a month or 1.5 months. But after that, it doesn't make sense. You just have to move on, right? And most of the cases, people will not tell you that you're not getting hired. So that you just have to make sure that if you're not getting a response in, say, 1 month for that matter, you are not getting hired. So that goes without saying.
Yeah, and this all means that patience gives you good fruits at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then just to add one more pointer, rather than just the patient, you should also know what might not have worked out, because people nowadays are not giving you exact complete feedback of what has worked, what has not worked, and so on. So then you should figure out that maybe my this interview didn't go well, or maybe something that you might have figured out. Always introspect, like what has worked, what has not worked, and you will see the results so on. Then you should iterate your resumes. You should always redraft your cover letter based on whatever feedback you have got, or basically how many rejections you have got throughout the process. So
Yeah, basically analyzing ourselves and then moving on to the next one.
yeah.
Yeah, is this a myth or truth that one can't get job into a specific company or industry without having personal contacts with them?
Personal contact is a very offensive term, I would say. Like, I don't know, but I don't think so that's true. Personal contact in most cases don't work, because the most they can do is they can actually refer you, and which a particular person on LinkedIn, if you have like talked decently well, can also do that. That's the most the personal contact do. In my experience of say 23 years, no one has actually gone to the HR and is like, "Hey, this is my sister, can you please hire her," and whatever. That's not how it works, right? So the most the person can do, be it the professional contact, personal contact, they can refer you, right? And it depends how strong, weak your profile is, your resume, the position you're applying for, how aligned you are, and how your experiences are speaking it for yourself, right? So it depends. I don't think that's true that without personal contact it doesn't happen, because none of my personal contacts have actually worked out. So I'm like probably not the right person to answer this. So
yeah, basically the talent speaks.
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah. So, does the CGPA, does it have any effective role in the off-campus placements, or it's just a number out of one's college life?
That's my favorite question, by the way, because I have a 9 point.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
I always flaunt this. So how my campus thing has worked is basically my campus have this excellent rule that if you're a 9 pointer, you're not allowed, like you can skip classes basically, right?
Yeah.
And that's my biggest motivation to get a CGPA. I was like, I don't care how much I'm learning from something, and this might sound very bad, but I'm from electrical engineering, so like bear with me. Like electrical is probably one of the toughest, and please mechanical people don't fight with me on this. Electrical is actually the toughest of all the engineering branches. But then my motivation was to actually get time for myself so that I can do other things. So if your college is not that much strict in terms of, say, I would say attendance, that you have to attend classes, and now everything being digital, it becomes a little more easy for you, you admit it or not, that you have a lot of time, right? So in my time, I was at Pravig. I was at a car racing team back in college. I knew to work at night for workshop and everything like that. I'm also having my college curriculum that I need to do. So for me, CGPA was a motivation to skip classes so that I can get time for myself. If this is not something that aligns with you, there has to be something that goes with you. So for people who want to do, say, higher education, they want to do masters or MBA or whatever, CGPA is an important criteria, because they need to build all their CAT ranking or GMAT ranking or whatever, and they need to build their SOPs and so on. If that's something that you are looking forward to, you should always maintain CGPA. Right? If you are like very much into studies, that's very less likely though. But then if you're like, you want to study something and you're like, that's your passion, that's well and good, that's done, so it doesn't matter that if your CGPA is good or not. But CGPA helps in on-campus placements, especially you have a lot of people, when you have a lot of people, right? So it basically comes as a criteria for filtering people, because how else will you do that? That's a thing, that's a mandate. In off-campus, nobody actually cares about your because you can put this and then you can say in an interview that, I am a high learner and I'm an electrical, because I have bragged a lot that I'm an electrical student, I'm a 9-pointer, and then I'm also doing a lot of other things. So that actually helps that I am good at what I'm doing. That's it.
Yeah.
If is there anything else that you can pitch? It can be your projects, it can be your extracurricular activities, it can be anything, right? Any business you have started, or any initiative you're part of, any volunteering experience that you can brag about and that can prove that you're good at something, you don't need CGPA, especially in off-campus. On-campus, I think you do need CGPA.
Yeah.
So it depends that, as I said, it depends on what kind of role, career, and what is exactly what you're wanting for your CGPA. If you're doing something just for the CGPA, it's like, I think it's okay. I don't have an opinion about it.
Yeah, and like how much do the online courses help you in getting placements? And like what are the online courses you could suggest to us to become a good project manager like you?
I hate online courses. I have never been a fan of online courses, and because I always feel the experience matter at the end of the day. Again, it depends what kind of role you're looking for. So, for example, if you are, say, a mechanical engineer and you want to get into, say, software development, then there's no other option. You have to do online courses of, say, operating systems, SQL, database management, on sometimes data structures and algorithms. But if you are, say, a software developer, if you are learning something from there and then you are doing courses in, say, the same domain, I don't think that will add value. Right? So I have never been a fan of online courses. I have not done much. I've obviously tried, but then I realized it doesn't affect much. And no one is going to ask you how many online courses you have done. They will ask you if you are learning something. So if any particular course is teaching you something very well, do it, finish it, not for the certificate, of course, certificate is a pro, but no one cares how many certificates you have earned by the end of the day. It just depends if you know something or you don't. So, yeah.
Now, like getting into the resume styles, like which one is the better one, the like Nova Wala template or the general comment ones?
Resume is something that's very custom to first the job and second the company you're applying for. I don't think it matters like what's the format of the resume unless it's clean and one page and then I know what I'm looking for, right? So there are specific templates that I think my template was Nova resume template, and then there was a Excel sheet. There's also one resume by Google Docs. I really like that resume. It's very simple. It just gives you the information where you need to put education and so on. But as a student, there are always some best practices that you should be following. As I said, it's there on my website. You can check every single thing I've written about what it should be like and how it works. But generally, I think it should be one page. That's again my personal opinion because as a recruiter, I don't have that much time to know all of this. And as a student, if you are having actually enough content to put in 2 pages, you are actually diluting your better content. So it should be one page. You should be having an education upfront so that a person knows you're applying for an internship, job, or whatever, and when you can expect to get out of a college and then join as a full time or whatever. So if I see a resume, as I said, I'm actually working with my company's hiring process student team. So I look for education. What is the education? I look for projects. As a student, it's very important. So you can be having business projects, you can be having SD, data scientist, mech, electrical, whatever. But projects is one section that I will always be looking for. And then I will see if you have any internship, fellowship, work experience. So it should be there. It should always be in pointers. Because as I said, I'm seeing say 20, 30 resumes in my say 2 years of experience. If a person is having say 15 years of experience, they might be saying 300. So they don't have time to actually read your sentences, no matter how much soever fancy English you have written. So it should always be in pointers. You should not lie. At least you should try not to lie on your resume. Because if at any point of your recruitment process, a person gets to know that you have lied about one thing, they will automatically consider that you have lied for all the other things as well. Right, so you will be rejected for sure. So that's how it works generally. But then I have like detailed document on what you should include, what you shouldn't. So you can check out on my website, and then I think, as I said, reach out if you have any other issues.
Yeah, being specific to a point, like it helps the interviewer as well.
Yes.
Yeah, like there is a big issue for the introverts, which who are having like very good skills. Like, what would be some of the suggestions you would give them while going to the off-campus drives?
See, I'm not an introvert. Very evident by now. I'm not exactly the best person to answer this, but in my experience, I have friends who were like really introvert people, but they were excellent in their skills in the work they do. So either ways, the first thing that introverts should learn is to actually apply for something, even if you feel you're not exactly eligible for. Right? So I have seen people who are not applying for something because they're like, I don't match 100% of the criteria or something like that. So I highly recommend people to at least apply, and I also give them these sneak peek that no one is looking at you, right? So you can just apply it and you can just disappear because no one will actually reach out to you. The best case that can happen is they will reach out. but what's the harm takes, right? So there's no harm in applying. You should always apply. Second thing I would say is practice, because that's something, even if you are, this is not just about, and I always say this at every single session I take, the whole process is not exactly about clearing the interview or something like that. It's actually preparing you for the job, because what if you actually clear the whole process and you're not good at what you do, and then you have to do a job, right? Because now I'm like 1 year into the job process and I know how difficult it is. Even if I had like decent experience in the different domains, I'm working as a product manager, and it's very difficult for me to cope up, because most of the people have say 5 years of experience, 3 years of experience, and experience actually helps. I would say that, right? So practicing in maybe in terms of say of close circle, you can actually talk to people in your close circle, be like, tell me something about yourself, and then you are replying to something like that. You can practice in front of mirror, or you can practice in front of anyone who you trust, right? But you should start somewhere. You should increase the number of people. So if you are close to a friend is like 1, you can do that for a month, and then you can try for like 2 people, and so on and so forth. Also, you should be a little more open about your achievements, right? So because if you won't speak about them, no one else will, and no one will ever get to know. In off-campus placements, it's very important to build a profile, as I said, and the profile is basically giving you the credibility that you are good at what you do. And if you don't speak about whatever you have done, no one will ever get to know that. So you post your accomplishments, certificates, anything good that you have done, anything good you have built or something, but you at least give that confidence to yourself that you have done something. Because most of the time it's like, maybe it's because of luck, maybe because no one else has participated or something like that. And in most cases I have seen, it's not the case. It's actually the talent of the particular person. So I don't exactly have a particular answer to this, because that comes under like psychology, and I'm like treating people for being introverts. I don't have an answer, but I think practice is something that they should start from a very early stages, because every introvert is knowing they are introverts. You should start from a little early. So if your campus placement starts at July, for example, you should start 6 months or 8 months prior to the process. Because for you, it will take a little more time compared to an extrovert who is like very good at talking and so on. So
yeah, they were like really very useful tips for them. And now, like, if someone wants to work with Bajaj Finserv, whom she or he shall approach?
That's a very specific question. I actually want my job, so I won't exactly reply to this question. But in general, you should apply on LinkedIn, or you should actually reach out to people. So if a person is interested in a particular opening, they can reach out to me or any other employee, and they can ask for a referral. And this is not specific to Bajaj Finserv. My company is specifically Bajaj Finserv Health, the healthcare domain of Bajaj Finserv. So this is applicable for any other company. So if you are seeing any other opening, you reach out to the people. First, you check for alumni, because then you know how to start a conversation. Hi, I'm also from VIT Vellore, and people are actually very generous for their juniors. Everyone is like, I'm here, that's like evident. so people are like actually very generous for their juniors, so they will actually help. And even if you're not able to find exact alumni or something, you should be finding any common link. So you see all the posts and all. If a person is say interested in say ML, then you can start a discussion that I have created a project in ML. Can you just look at this? There's an opening. Can you refer me, and so on? And more often than not, I think 20% of the people actually respond to these messages. So you need to that's what I call it, right? So you increase the pace. You reach out to more people, the 20% becomes 20 people. If you reach out to say 100 people, if you're reaching out to 10 people, 20% is still 2 people, and out of these 2 people, so it might not work out, right? So that's how it works.
Yeah, and you have gone to so many of the interview rounds of many different companies. What's the one thing that you must have to get through all those interviews?
Confidence at any point. I think it's the confidence that actually helps, because most times it's just your day. It's sometimes not your day, even if you have done like a lot of good things and you always feel that this is something that you will get. Sometimes the processes, so I have seen processes for like 3 months. My present job interview process was of 2 months. It was very irritating, and it's the same with like a lot of other companies as well, because they take a lot of time in figuring out if you're a right fit or not, and if they have an immediate opening for you or not, right? So off campus has this very drawback, for example. But then at the end of the day, if you're confident on your skills, and then by the end of the day you need just one job, right? So even if you're applying for say 100, if you get one job at any company, obviously any company of your choice, your work is done. So you need to be confident enough that you're working in the right direction. Obviously, don't be overconfident and don't improve and so on. But I think the one thing that has worked is obviously confidence. And after the confidence, if you ask me, it's the skills. Because no matter how good you are at talking, if you're not answering the question, it's of no use, right? So it's not always about that you can always manipulate people by just being good at talking and all. You need to know things. That's how the interview process works. And these people are in the industry for say 10, 15 years, so they actually figure out if someone is just faking till it's making it, and if someone is actually having the skill. So after the confidence, I think the hard and soft skills, that should be like the second most important thing for any interview.
Yeah, how you have overcome your interview nerves, or how can someone overcome their interview nerves? Could you please suggest?
I am not the right person to do this because, as I said, I'm very nervous. I always feel I'm very impatient basically. So I always want that I get the results at the end of the day. It's like a bit planning an exam के ऊपर तुरंत दिख जाएगा कितने number आए हैं. But that's not how it works. Most of the times, and more often than not, it generally takes like a month, 2 weeks, and so on to get the response. Interview nervousness, as I said, comes a lot with your level of confidence and the level of preparation you have done. There's no easy way out there. You need to prepare for everything. You need to prepare the hard skills, soft skill, HR round, and more often than not, I have seen people dropping off from the HR round because they are very good at the skills, but they're not exactly very good in say talking to people and then explaining and justifying that they're good at something. Because they will always be like, this has happened and we did something and we in a team of 5 have built something and something like that. But that's not exactly what the person is looking for. The person is looking for, if you have worked in say 5-member team, what exactly you have done. So don't talk in say for your community in interviews, I would say. You prepare yourself, you read as much as you can about the interview process, most of the time about the interviewer. That's what I do. See what the interview is doing, and then what are the expected kind of questions. You reach out to alumni that how was their process. Is there anything specific they want to know, and you want to yourself to be prepared. Prepare early. Start preparing early is something that I always suggest people. That you just say placement season is coming by July, for example. You can start now, right? So for all the aptitude, LR, English, logical reasoning is LR. You can start doing now. You can also start preparing for HR questions so that whenever it will come, you at least are having 2-3 iterations of your answers. And you know what is good, what is bad, what is taking you a lot of time, and so on and so forth. So I think preparing yourself for the process and knowing what you're getting into, and knowing what you're getting into is a part of preparation, will actually help reduce the nervousness. But I don't think there's anything that can actually cancel the nervousness. And I am actually very doubtful if you're not exactly nervous for the job, you don't want that job in first place. So that's what I feel it works.
I feel like almost everyone from the final years is going to enter into the corporate world. So what is the advices you could suggest them from your experience to ace in their careers?
You should always read. I highly recommend people to read things. It can be anything, but more often than not, you should at least read a little about psychology, how things work. If there is other perspective to a particular thing, you should learn hard skills, soft skills, and whatever the content is, because at the end of the day, it improves your English. That has helped me as well. And then it gives you a lot of better perspective, because when you're working somewhere with say 1,500 people, you need to know that there can be other solutions to a particular problem and there can be other perspectives as well, right? So then that's something that you should always read. You should be open to thoughts, right? So there's one way of doing things. You have done something, you have worked really hard in your career and your college life and whatever. But there's always other things, other ways to do things. You should always be open, and that's why I said that reading actually builds an open perspective. Everyone should read. I highly recommend people to read. If you're a female, then you should always read Lean In. That's my personal recommendation. And take it from me if you're not getting the hard copy. Just read it. It's a must for entering the corporate world, and men should also read it, but then that's like an optional thing. As a female, you should always read it. Second thing I would say, you should never stop learning. So even if you're getting a great job out of campus, you should always, and you have say 1 year, probably if you get a job by October or something, you still have say 9 months of doing nothing, right? And then you're like, I am getting a job, and I've seen like a lot of people doing that. That's how I know that you should always learn something, because there's always something you're not good at. You need to figure that out, and then you need to work on those if you have time. Even if you don't have time, you need to take the time out to actually learn something, right? So you should never stop learning, and then that's the main two things that has worked out really well. So
yeah. A complete PlaceU team thanks you for being here and sharing such essential advice, and it was great for all of us to have you here. And we wish you best for your future. And to all the girls out there watching our video aiming for placements, do follow Anjali on LinkedIn, and you can find her ID in the description.
Thank you for having me, and good luck. As I've already mentioned, you can always reach out to me. I'm very active on social media, probably LinkedIn, because that's like kind of professional. So you can always reach out to me, and good luck. And thank you for inviting me. It was really fun.
Thank you, baby. If the information was great and you want us to continue such series, hit the like button, follow us on LinkedIn and Insta, share it with your best buddies, follow our group, subscribe to get notified for our new video. Stay safe, keep smiling. Thanks and regards from PlaceU. Bye-bye.